Welcome back to Stone and Timber. My name is Dax,
And I'm Darren.
and this podcast is all about honest conversations around faith, manhood, family, purpose, and the challenges men face every day. We're not experts, we're just two men trying to follow Christ and learn along the way. We're so glad you're here, and in today's episode, we're going to be talking about something that's becoming harder and harder to answer. What does it actually mean to be a man? But before we do so, let's catch up. What has God been teaching you since our last episode last week?
You know what I've noticed?
Hmm.
I noticed that I've been so aware more of people and paying attention to stories that they're talking about because now I'm like very interested in, hey, what is this person going through? Could they be potentially on the show to come and speak to people?
Mm.
Because there's a lot of people out there that are going through a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
you know? And so, praying about that and just having people be placed in the path have really become eye opening.
Yeah. No, that's good. I think very similar to my answer. I mean, one, with the technology side of things, I learned a ton. With the camera, the audio. I mean, just before we started this recording, there was a lot of stuff. There's still some ups and downs. But not only am I noticing more people and potential prospects to come on the show, but a lot of people have been super supportive
Oh, absolutely.
and gave great feedback and just was encouraging. I was excited to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm really excited to get somebody actually here.
Yeah, me too.
Um, I'm a little nervous on the sense of technology side.
Yeah, it's because you're OCD, though.
Yeah,
Very much.
it's kind of a problem, but it's okay. Also, I have a ton of notes on my phone and my journal, so if you see me looking down, I'm checking my notes.
Well, and if you have to do that, then I have to pull out the old reader since I'm the old man. But
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
going to try not to.
No, but I'm really excited about this topic. Been doing a little bit of research and started a new book that you suggested.
Yep.
Stand Firm and Act Like Men, which is that conference, Act Like Men, that, I mean, you went to.
Yeah, it's a conference that I actually went to back in 2014, and I went with some church friends, and we went to Dallas and saw some men that were godly men, and it was a great conference. And James McDonald wrote that book, but it's been carried on and just continues now, and it's just gotten bigger and bigger. So
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, I kind of just want to dive right into it.
let's do it, man.
The reason we wanted to talk about this question, what does it actually mean to be a man, is because it seems like there's a lot of young adults or even adults
Yeah,
that are searching for direction, being told to be successful, make money, get in shape, build a following, chase achievements, but never told what a man actually is.
yeah.
So
Well, I'm going to jump in there right
go for
quick
it.
and
Go
just
for it.
and say this, that society is the worst.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm a lot older than you.
Yeah.
And back in my day, becoming a man was in the locker room when everybody's thinking, puberty set in, when you started getting some hair under your armpits or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm becoming a man. And they think that they're all macho and stuff. And now they're able to start getting muscles and they're it wasn't so much back then about making money, it was just being macho.
Yeah.
How strong were you? Um, how many women could you get?
Yeah. Which I think it's shifted. I don't even think today is. I mean, I still think money's a huge thing, but with social media, it's like, how many followers do you have?
Yeah.
Which is more my generation, but it's like if you're not a influencer or have influence on others, maybe not on social media,
Right.
you're not a man. But I mean, the question is actually I'm just gonna read this question. So, number one, let's just talk. You said let's just dive into society. This idea of why are so many young adults or just adults in general confused on what a man is. So what do you think society's telling them besides money? We already kind of addressed money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What else do you think people are being told that's making them confused?
Well, they're looking at their peers.
Mm,
They're looking at everybody else, you know, and that's the first mistake. They're not going to Scripture and seeing that God created us in His image to become a man.
yeah.
And there's so many things like that. And so, growing up, it's not like it is today. I didn't grow up with neighbors side by side. I didn't grow. I came from a home that had a working father. He was a great father. He was doing what he was supposed to do, in my eyes and in my mom's eyes and in my sister's eyes, and he kept doing those things. But yet I was basically alone,
Mm,
and he just would work, and then he would come home, play ball with me or something, conversation pieces, because where he was growing up weren't really there, like how are you doing, things like that. There weren't deep conversations. So I didn't grow up with that,
yeah.
you know? And so I think now that is carried over to where I just think that I'm not supposed to ask questions. I'm supposed to be able to handle it on my own
Mm,
if I'm a man.
yeah.
Do you make sense to you?
Yeah.
And so
You
I,
figure it out.
you figure it
Put
out.
your
I
head
mean,
down.
you got to work, you know?
So would you say? I mean, I'm just asking. Would you say that your generation lacked community?
Absolutely.
So like there was a sense of brotherhood in sports,
Oh, yeah,
but that's not what I'm talking about. Like brotherhood and pushing each other like to work out and get stronger together or play to win the game.
right.
But I'm talking about the brotherhood on the side of, hey man, I don't know what to do in this situation.
Yeah,
Seeking advice from each other.
sure.
Do you think that your generation was like,
We did not do
that's
that. I didn't.
yeah,
And that's the thing, and that's where I wanted you guys to be able to do that, and encouraged you to go seek counsel
yeah,
where I didn't have that. And it's carried over into my life, and it's been very difficult because I didn't know how,
yeah,
and I think that that's where men are, and I think that that's the downside, because they would always think that they were weak if they went and asked.
yeah,
Well, because that's Satan talking to you, saying, you're going to go ask him about finances? Why
yeah,
would you ask him about finances? Aren't you a man? Don't you
yeah,
know that? And that's Satan talking. And and there's just so many other things just about, why am I going through these things in my body? What's all these things are changing in me and stuff. And you just, instead of seeking it out and asking people those questions, you just allow it to happen and just say, well, that's just part of becoming a man.
mm,
You just deal with it on your own. And so that's one thing I've been proud about with you, because you've gone out and sought people out that are older,
yeah,
and gone to studies and stuff about finances and Bible studies and things like that, and built that community.
mm,
And I think that that's where society's lacking. And it's also this: when someone says, "Hey man, how you doing?" "Oh, I'm great."
yeah,
Liar.
yep. Oh, I
And that's
struggle.
what this podcast
Yeah,
is for,
yeah,
okay? Because I think that's part of becoming a man, is being humble enough to say, "Man, I'm sinning,
yeah,
not I'm struggling." Because you hear that all, "Hey man, I'm struggling with porn."
yeah,
No, you're not. You're sinning with porn.
mm,
And you need to have someone come and sit with you and help hold you accountable, you know? And that's just one topic
yeah. No, I mean that's a
that
that's a big
that
one.
men struggle with,
Yeah, that's a
and
big one.
women nowadays. So,
Yeah.
but
No, it's very true. You said that about me going and seeking
sure,
older. Well, actually, the reason I did that was because Steve Kimberlin,
yeah,
which is my buddy's grandpa. amazing man, gave me a quote, and I live by it. And it's like, the fastest way to your goals, to achieve your dreams, is through wise counsel.
That's right.
Seek wise counsel. Seek wise counsel.
Sure.
And I mean, that whole idea breaks down this idea that you have to figure everything out on your own. It's like, why would I want to when I could lean on brothers that have gone through and made the mistakes? It's like, I don't want to have to go through that.
Right.
I'm going to learn from you. And if you're humble and set your pride aside, you would pour into me. Because that's the thing, too. It's not necessarily you going out. It's like you have to find people that are willing to pour into you. But,
And that's the key,
yeah.
is finding people.
Yeah.
Because even at my age, it's very difficult to find a community of men that are willing to sit down and talk to you and be real.
And I think that's kind of, that idea is this, what we're talking about, macho man. I don't want to do that. And that's still engraved today. But your idea, your generation was more, hey, muscles, head down, forward. I think my generation, somewhat the same, but more so where we're getting almost too emotional. Like being too open, which is, you see this trend of homosexuality where there's like, hey, I'm going to lean on these women for counsel and all these things. And they lean into that. And I don't know, there's just this huge spectrum. Obviously, there's always been probably a spectrum. But what I'm seeing from a 10,000-foot perspective is
Sure.
the younger generation is being a little too soft. Not wanting to work, not wanting to put their head down, wanting to be a man without putting any work in. They
Right.
just want to be given
Sure.
this idea of a man or given the success because of, I don't know, social media or something. I don't know.
See, and I think I had a father that was a wonderful man, and I watched him,
Yeah.
and I was able to have that, and I was able to see him providing and protecting and doing those things that a man should do. And so he was I wouldn't, hero.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could go to him and talk to him about it, but I was scared to. You know what I mean? Because he came from the generation that was not, even though my dad was very loving, okay, which was very odd back then to hug on your kid or something. He would hug me, but it wasn't like he would come up and hug me. It was like if I came up to him, he would hug me.
Yeah.
But he was strong. And you said that about weights, and I was laughing because weights were not pushed that much. You
Yeah.
know, it was more work.
Yeah.
Get a job. Go out and provide and help the family. I mean, you mowed lawns, you hoed cotton, you worked at the gas station because back then they had gas stations that you actually went and
You'd
pumped
pump
the
their
gas
gas,
for
yeah.
people and washed their windows and checked their oil and things like that. It was called a service station, right? Not a self-serve, but a service station. So they would actually come out. So people did that. I mean, people had paper routes, right, for newspapers.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's like your generation
Mm-hmm.
was very much taught and engraved, you go provide.
That's right.
And that's why I'm like, I think our generation doesn't understand that that's still
Yeah.
necessary.
Yeah.
We're meant to work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're created in God's image.
So, speaking of that, I mentioned that I'm reading that book, Stand Firm, Act Like Men by Joey Martin.
Mm-hmm.
And in the first chapter, he talks about how Adam, before the fall, listen to me, before the fall, before sin, was given work. So we were designed off the bat. This wasn't some sin. This was not the devil.
Right.
Like, we're not meant to not work.
Right.
We're not meant to live for retirement.
Right.
Like, we're designed to work. So when we don't work and we're not providing or working, we're living off our design. So things are off. And that affects a lot of things. And that's kind of what I want to get into now.
Because, see, and I think too, Dex, that it's also God created man to work for him
Yeah.
as working for the Lord. It's not necessarily that you can't retire, right, from working. It's but you don't retire from working for the Lord. Now, because that's what I look forward to the most is being able to retire from a job that requires my full attention to be able to stop. Now I can go work fully for the Lord and
Yeah.
go witness, go disciple, be there for people without having to worry about providing for the family.
Yeah. 100%.
You know,
Like, of
but
course.
I don't think you ever stop
No, 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 no.
working or you're gonna die.
So a lot of people's idea of retirement is kick your feet back
Oh,
and watch the
absolutely.
football game.
That's right.
That's not what I mean. Of course, and this is in the book. Of course, there will be a time that you're going to separate from the corporation or company that you're a part of for the last 30 years.
Mhm.
Of course. But it doesn't mean, like you said, you're going to just retire from being in service of God,
Right.
being in ministry, because we're constantly on mission, constantly in ministry. And that is discipleship, serving in the church, mission work.
Mhm.
That's forever. And that's what I mean by retirement. When I say retirement, I'm meaning this idea. Society's perspective of retirement
Right.
is I'm going to go vacation and not talk to anybody anymore.
Well, and just throwing this out there, but you hear about this and you may not, but as an older person, you always hear people that retire and then all of a sudden they pass away not long after that.
Yeah.
And I've often wondered, why is that? You know, what is it that why do they pass away? I don't know that answer. But my thought process is, well, they just quit everything, you know, and they're not staying involved. And so if the people that retired would get and grab a hold of some younger people and become a disciple to those younger people, what we're talking about right now, becoming a man, they can help young men become men.
Yeah.
And it's not about the hair under their arms,
Yeah.
right? They can say, hey, I went through this already. Let me tell you what my perspective is. Of course, you've got the right to choose how you want to do it,
Mm.
right? You're on your own, really, when it comes down to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But having people surrounded by you, though, is a big deal.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's a big lacking in the men's society, and that's why we're
Or
talking about
even
it.
in the church
Oh,
is
definitely.
discipleship between specifically men. Because I feel like, I don't know why, I feel like there's a lot of, maybe not, but at least in the churches around here, there's a lot of women discipling younger ladies. But
Well,
men just like maybe it is that hey, I don't really want to get emotional with this guy.
well, pride steps in. They don't want
Yeah.
to talk about reality and things. I mean, we kind of talked about that last week. We talked about how a man doesn't want to cry,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and that's being humble and letting it down and saying, I'm a sinner,
Mm.
you know. We talked about that last week too, about I'm the one who put Christ on the cross, you know. Tim Tebow was talking about that and act like men, you know, stand firm on the. I was watching a video about that and he was talking about that they went to Guatemala or somewhere like that, and his brother and him walked into this prison.
Mm.
And they walked into this prison, and it was like just a bunch of murderers and all this. I mean, just walking around. They weren't locked into little cells, they were all in one room.
Yeah.
And him and his brother, they opened the gate, and the guards stayed back, and they let them in, and they walked in, and he was scared to death.
Hmm.
But his brother started speaking, and his brother said, I put that man on the cross. And he said, Tim looked at him and said, "What are you talking about? Those people put him on the
Yeah,
cross."
yeah.
But his brother was showing him, no,
We're no
it's
different.
not about these guys. It's about me because I'm a sinner.
Yeah,
Not this guy that murdered somebody. It's me that did the sin too,
yeah,
you know? And that's being humble. That's being courageous. That's being bold. That's being a man owning up to your faults,
yeah,
because that's so many people right now that are just, I mean, they're trying to make it in this world, and they'll do anything they want to try to get there.
yeah.
They'll lie, cheat, steal, whatever. Well, that's not a man.
So let's kind of go into that. You started to get into it. My next question was going to be, what do you think the consequences is, or the consequences are to society, especially men that don't understand what a man actually is? And you started it off with, they'll do anything they can to make it in this world.
And just thinking about that, I mean, if you're going to lie, cheat, and steal to get somewhere, eventually you're going to get caught. And where's that end up? Incarceration,
Yeah,
you know? And so this is something that society's talked about for a while. But a fatherless young man is one that has a higher rate of incarceration. Okay. And not just a fatherless young man. I mean, we've all got fathers, right?
yeah.
I mean,
But
you have
present
to,
fathers.
but a present father.
Yeah,
And see, and it's also, if the father's not around, what other man could there be?
yeah,
That's what this is for. Okay? Because just because you may not have a father doesn't mean that you're going to prison. That's not what I'm saying.
no,
You can find other people and seek counsel and learn instead of trying to do it on your own and be guided in the direction. Okay? So I think that that's the consequences of all this is, incarceration, drug use, um,
depression,
depression, um,
failed marriages,
or not even marriages, but
singleness,
s- you
or
know,
just bachelor life.
bachelor life and
Also,
having multiple children with multiple women, which all that's doing is adding to it, the fire.
mm,
Because think of that.
yeah,
I mean, I was a teacher, and I had two kids in the same grade that had the same dad, but by different women. Come to find out, there were 9 different women with different kids by one man.
yeah,
And, and you look at that and you go back and you see those people now, and they have multiple problems.
oh yeah,
Multiple problems because they didn't have the guidance. Can they be rescued? Absolutely.
yeah,
Christ can change someone in an instant.
yeah.
But you got to seek him, and you got to know how to seek him.
Well, to kind of flip the script too, you said for these non-present fatherless children, they have the ability and should seek other men,
Mm-hmm.
or yeah, seek father figures to pour into them.
Right?
But also, I think a role as a man, a biblical man, is for men to seek those that are broken and to pour into those,
That's right.
serving others. Because it's not necessarily like, yes, those kids should seek people, but they don't know.
Yeah, they don't know.
So they
So
have no
let's
idea.
let's let's think this, okay? Let's go back to where I was saying about retirees. Why can't that be a retired person in the church? That's their job,
Yeah.
is to seek people, to to walk in and like we've done this last week, but since the last podcast, what has it done to us? It's made us more aware of looking and watching people and listening to people. What's your story like? You know, and is it something that's interesting? Same thing with these men, you know, that are retired that have more time instead of sitting back with your feet up
Yeah.
watching Gunsmoke,
Yeah.
right? You could be looking and helping a young man and seek him out. Why
Yeah.
not?
Not even retired people either. I mean, it's if you have obviously if your cup is full and you're able to pour into other people and you have time outside of your main priorities like your family, things
Mm-hmm.
like that,
Mm-hmm.
you should. Even if you don't want to. I mean, that's the whole point of service. It's not comfortable,
Sure.
but you need to understand that's kind of why we're talking about the consequences and why this is important is that there's a ton of men that are struggling with understanding what it actually means to be a man and need your help.
Mm-hmm.
They need your help. And I mean, you can't get upset at them because they don't know.
Right.
And for you to understand what a man is and to withhold that knowledge is cruel because
Selfish.
it's selfish. You are literally withholding generational, when you look at it, generational knowledge that can help a family for generations.
Mm-hmm.
Because we see sins of a father are passed on generation to generation. And we're talking about incarceration. That cycle is endless until somebody breaks this chain of destruction.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily the people within the family that break the chain.
Yeah.
It's us as Christians step in to help them break the chain.
Right.
And of course, before I say that, let me catch myself. It is Christ alone that breaks the chain.
Right.
But we are the vessels that can step in. Christ uses us to step in practically. And that means reaching out, saying, "Hey man, let me guide you and shepherd you."
Right.
Um,
You remember Dylan Chase,
yeah,
right? Dylan Chase is a rapper, won a double award, Christian rapper, and came to the church and had needed a place to stay. So him and his kids
Yep.
stayed here with us, and I'll never forget him sitting down and talking to your mom and I. And he was sharing some music and stuff, but one of his songs was, and I don't know for sure if it's a song. Maybe I just envisioned it being a song, but it was, I'm going to be a curse breaker because his story is very impactful.
Yeah.
You talk about coming from a family that he had the path to go be incarcerated, but yet he chose a different path and sought counsel, biblical counsel, right? But he is a curse breaker. And so, you know how many times I've talked to young people about that are in that society, and said, man, you've got a chance to be a curse breaker.
Yeah.
Just because your family's hooked on drugs or your dad's in jail or whatever, you know, you can be a curse breaker.
Yeah.
And that's the stop of the generational curse.
Mm-hmm.
And so being a man is not like you and I went and Dylan, shout out to him. It's his birthday today, but
Happy
we
birthday.
happy birthday, Dylan. We went to the gym and worked out and
Yeah.
became men,
Yeah.
in society's eyes, right?
If you can't lift this weight, you're not a man.
That's right.
You're a victim weight.
That's right. And so, as I said last week, you can't even lift the bar, and then you start lifting and you working out, and you get bigger, and you get 200, and you said 300 or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's being humble too, saying I can't lift 300, so I'm going to do just like today. I had to be humble. I can't lift as much as you guys, so
Yeah.
I had to be humble, and that's truly being okay.
Mm-hmm.
Being a man is not the macho trying to outdo somebody else. It's knowing when to say, hey, you know what? I'm good.
Yeah.
It's knowing when to say, hey, man, have this beer with me or whatever. You know what? I'm good.
Yeah.
It's okay. Just because you're drinking a beer doesn't make you a man. You know what I mean? And so just because you're doing something else, driving down the road in a car that's going 100 miles an hour doesn't make you a man,
Yeah.
you know? Um,
I mean, that's more. I
of a
mean,
child, actually.
yeah, and I think that's still we're still on the topic or the subtopic of that's the consequences of not understanding what a man is.
Yeah.
And um so with that, we understand that we kind of went to the impacts on society and the consequences. We have these generational curses of not understanding what a man is, and that leads into these father figures that don't lead and shepherd their kids and teach their kids how to be a man or
Right.
how to be a daughter and protect and provide, and then or they leave, and now we have another one, another again the generational curse, which is an impact on society. So the question is, what is the world defining men as? And we kind of talked about it, but I just want to talk about it one more time before we answer what does the Bible define a man, or how does the Bible define a man. So real quick, I wrote this down. It says the world defines a man by his money, status, career, followers, influence. And the world asks again, how much money do you make? How many people look up to you? How many things have you accomplished? And it brought up this question. This is actually kind of a quote I stole. If everything a man had, his money, job, possessions, status, was taken away tomorrow, would he still be a man?
Mm. Wow.
I mean, I'm reflecting on myself right now. If I couldn't bench 300 pounds, or if I couldn't walk, or if I lost my job, would I still be a man? In my mind, immediate response is I'm a less of a man, and I'm not a man anymore. I'm just in somebody that's dependent on somebody else, and now I have to have help or ask for help. And I think a lot of people would agree. I think most people would say, "Oh, you're not a man. You don't make this much money. Oh, you
Yeah.
lost your job. You lost your career path. Oh, you had to sell your car. Dude, you're not a man."
See, and I think that's the misconception,
Mm,
because you look at that, and I think the opposite, because now how are you handling in that
yeah.
shows how you are a man.
So,
Because if you lost your job, are you going to sulk and pout and complain and go do things that you shouldn't do? Or are you going to go do something about it? Because you're created in the image of God, and God created us to work, right?
yeah.
And God created woman, right, from a man to be a helper. But now let's say that you've got a family, because you don't right now, but let's put it in my deal. Just say that here I am and I have a family and I have a wife and I lose my job. I could just sit back and say, "Pfft, I'm going to go draw unemployment. Just sit back and just,
Well, I mean, let me ask you a deeper question. What if you lost your family?
if I lost my family.
Would you still be a man?
Absolutely. Because the way you handled that, okay? Because I'm going to lean on God more than ever.
Okay,
Okay,
so
because I've got a friend, right? It was New Year's Eve, and he's driving down the road coming from South Texas, raining, and his trailer jackknifes, and a car comes and takes his wife instantly, hurt his kids, right? That man is a witness I met with him in my house weekly after that was happening.
Mm.
He never once, he had a choice, but he never once did any kind of secular thing, right? He became a huge role model as a man to me because not only did he not do anything else with society, I mean, he didn't listen to anything else but to Christian music. He read his Bible. He dove in to God and leaned on God.
Mm.
Did he want to die? Yes. He did not want to live because his wife was gone. Did he have other kids that needed him? Yes. He was a true man because he stepped up and he said, you know what? I'm not going to allow this. Satan's talking to me, trying to take me also, and I'm not going to do this. He became a man and leaned into Christ because he lost that.
So this is why I'm asking that. If you lost your family, you lost everything, and I'm honestly going to challenge your answer because you said, "Well, it's the way he handled it."
Mm-hmm.
Well, really, it's not the way he handled it because if he handled it poorly, it doesn't necessarily mean it took away him being a man. The real answer is a man isn't defined by his accomplishments or trophies. It's what is his foundation?
All right.
It's the foundation, which just for in general, a foundation is not something that we just in construction terms. A foundation, if you're going to build a skyscraper, your foundation has to be so rooted,
Mm-hmm.
so solid, so you can continue to build up this life. And what happens
Right.
is if that skyscraper breaks and falls over, the foundation will stay.
Mm-hmm.
Everything above it, which is you build your life upon this foundation, and everything that you built upon it, if that falls off, it doesn't mean
You can't rebuild it.
you can't rebuild it. It doesn't mean that your foundation has shake or broken.
Right.
It just means that the trophies or the accomplishments that you've achieved on the foundation that you placed your life on
Mm-hmm.
has just changed. So to go back to the question, and I'm not discrediting
No.
him handling it. I just think it's more than just the way we handle
Well, and I
things.
think that what I was meaning by the way he handled it was going back to the foundation.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, he
his
hit.
foundation, he was the tower,
Yeah.
and it did crumble.
Hmm.
But he went, where did he go? He went back to the foundation, which is Christ, which is the cornerstone
Yeah.
that we talked about.
Hmm.
And he went back into that and sought that. He didn't go in to find alcohol. He didn't go in to find other things out there in society. That's how I'm saying he handled it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, for sure.
and so
I just think we need
that's
to clarify.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I think that that's a true man.
Yeah.
Because that shows true courage. It shows humbleness. It shows that self-sacrificing because we can very easily give in to our flesh, right? And that's why I think that as a man, where we lack in society when we say, "Hey, how's it going?" "Oh, it's going great," and you know they're lying,
Yeah.
right? And I'm not saying that you need to spill your guts to everybody every time you see them and stuff, but what's wrong with being real? I mean, especially if you're struggling, right? All right. Today, okay, a friend of ours that we just met when we went hunting, we met a guy, Dakota, okay? He's going to fly to Africa on a hunt. And he sent me a text today. He didn't have to tell me anything and let anybody know that he's scared. He's but he's a man and he's seeking other people to pray because he's scared. That's okay to be that way, right? That's what I'm saying about a man. He's being humble and putting it out there. Otherwise, he's just holding it all in himself.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And so that's why I told you today we need to be praying for him.
Yeah.
because he's nervous. He's worried about going over there because there's all sorts of wars and things that are going on. I mean, within the country, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So just simple things like that that I think that our society doesn't do
Yeah.
enough of.
So I mean, we.
But guess what? He's the Christian.
Yeah.
See, so somebody else that's not a Christian, and I think that that's where we have to guide, right, other people and be there for them.
So okay, we've defined society, the consequences of not understanding what a man is, and we started to dive into what the Bible defines a man is, and we talked about somewhat. I mean, this is the main thing. Our foundation. What is your foundation on? If it's not on Christ, it's on sand. You're building your life upon achievements and successes. And of course, when that crumbles, you have nothing left. So, are you actually a man? No, if your life isn't upon Christ. So, the real answer, and then we can talk into the subpoints to this. What defines a man? God defines a man. So, what does the Bible say about that? And number one, we look at Jesus' life. And for anyone that's listening that is looking for a blueprint to what a man actually looks like, look at Jesus' life. He lays it out for us.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing, and honestly, I think we need to make a part 2 to this because
Okay.
I don't feel like I haven't done enough Bible research to give you actual verses to relate to. But one thing of Jesus' life that I can confidently say was his faithfulness.
Mm-hmm.
His faithfulness till the end, till the very end.
Mm-hmm.
Upon the cross, his faithfulness. And that means putting your entire trust on Christ, on God, when you don't have the answers, when you are struggling, when your family passes away,
Mm-hmm.
when you feel like killing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You are faithful to the end, saying, this is not my power at all.
Mm-hmm.
This is nothing I've done. This is nothing I can do. This is truly by Jesus Christ alone. And I think that's a huge thing, is to start defining what a man actually is completely stripping away our completely stripping away man's role in that. Completely humbling ourselves, saying, it's not us at all.
Yeah.
We don't define ourselves as a man. Society doesn't define us as a man.
Right.
Our achievements don't define us as a man. It's nothing we can do, not the way we handle things, not the way we, again, achieve things. The first step into defining a man is saying, I don't define it. I can't define it. It's the foundation of Christ, and God defines what a man is. And then you can go into what are practical things that we can do to be Christ-centered, to be a man like Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And again, number one is faithfulness. Faithfulness in the sense that I don't know the plan. Again, reflecting on Jesus' life. I mean,
That's leaning on him.
yeah, I mean, think about the garden,
Mm-hmm.
Gethsemane, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus in the garden. Lord, take this cup from me. And he's like, no, trust me, have faith.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, talk about a defining moment of a man's life, is saying, I'm going to die, but I have faith.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an extreme,
Mm-hmm.
but there's multiple things, multiple occasions like that. Not that extreme, but are in a man's life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, starting a family. Oh my gosh. That's one thing I'm so worried about. I mean, Dylan,
Mm-hmm.
about to start a family.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have all the answers.
Nope.
But one thing he's confident about, he said, I have faith.
Mm-hmm.
So I think faithfulness is number one, is our first definition of what a man is.
Yeah, being faithful and provider, you know. I think a man needs to be able to provide, and that's where the work is, and taking care of the family is a big deal. And does it make you a man just because you get out and work? No. Okay? Cuz there's many men that go out and work, but that's all they do.
Yeah.
Okay? But it is a part. Okay? You are not a man if you don't get out and try to provide for your family. You're just not.
And I think that's more on the sense of we have faithfulness and then you have obedience.
Yes.
And we talked about this earlier, but God designed man to work.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not working, you're not being obedient. And if you're not being obedient, you're not being faithful.
All ties together.
It all ties together. So if you're not working, you're right. You're not being a Christ-centered man
That's right.
because you're not being obedient to the design, the definition God has set before us as a man.
Here comes my glasses.
Here we go.
Here comes my glasses.
I also have a lot of verses that I think this is why I want to say part 2, because I don't remember off the top of my head and I don't have all of them that I want to list. But
I'm going to look at this scripture here. Titus 1:5-9 says, husband of one wife, his kids are believers, steward of God, approachable. I can't even read my own writing. Not quick tempered, not a drunk, not violent, not greedy, hospitable, loves good, self controlled, holy. You know, society makes it hardly any of that when you watch everything.
you know what's crazy?
What?
This is insane. This is the Lord. I don't want to share it.
Well, that's what this is about.
Yesterday, me and my life group, my men's study, set this challenge to start reading and keeping each other accountable in our word. And we said, we're going to read a chapter every day. You can read whatever you want. Guess what book I read?
Titus.
Titus chapter 1.
Amen.
I read that this morning, and I'm going to read the text I sent my group.
That's awesome.
Because
we didn't talk about this, by the way.
No, we didn't. And this is the exact same thing I said. I read Titus chapter 1 this morning. Paul addresses the church and lays out the qualifications for elders, because that's what you read right there.
Mm-hmm.
I said my takeaways. Even though this is specifically talking about elders, this can be applied to all believers as a set practical standard on which we should live our life. This is literally, and this is crazy. Wasn't planned. I'm serious.
God does crazy things. Just saying.
And then, or I'll say this first. Even though this passage is talking about qualifications for elders, I mean, it's fantastic ways
Sure.
we should practically look and evaluate our life and say, hey, am I being faithful to one wife?
Mm-hmm.
Not a drunkard.
Right.
And
are you approachable?
Are approachable. I mean,
yeah,
fantastic. And then I went to Titus 1, verse 6. It says, they profess to know God, but they deny him by their works. They are detestable, disobedient, and unfit for any good work. And we've all heard this, but faith without works is dead. This is my takeaways.
Mm-hmm.
We should see Jesus through the fruits and transformation in our own lives. And I want to talk about that because we talked about if you're not working or if you're not having works, if you're not producing fruits,
right,
you're not being obedient. You're not being faithful. And so how do you be obedient? You look at this chapter, these verses, and say, am I any of these? If I'm not one of these, how can I be more like that?
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to really do that is say, okay, putting it on Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Say, Lord, transform me. That's the transformation I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Transform my life so I can be more like these set standards that you've placed before the elders, which I should imitate, because this is for the church, and we know that Christ is the church.
All right.
And ultimately, we're supposed to imitate Christ. So these
Amen.
standards, again, are set for the elders, but they are standards we should abide by.
Amen.
And, man, I mean, just talk about that. That's crazy. I saw that, and I was like, that's a Titus right there. Chapter 1, too.
That's awesome.
That's crazy.
That's awesome. You know, Mark 8:36 says, "What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit his soul?" You see, and I've had this conversation here recently with several people about balance. And as a man, you have to learn to balance because a, a biblical man, right, is not self-seeking anymore. You're doing away with, you sacrifice just like Christ sacrificed his life for us. You sacrifice for your family.
Yeah.
Having children is a huge way to learn that, to truly be in their life, right?
Mm.
You guys always wondered why don't you have a hobby, Dad? Why aren't you going out and doing all that stuff? Why? Because I wanted to be there for you.
So you sacrificed
I
your
sacrificed.
entertainment.
I didn't go play golf for 4 to 6 hours with a bunch of people, right?
Yeah.
I preferred to be in the household with my kids. I preferred to coach them. I preferred to be there and not go off and go on big extravaganzas with a bunch of guys. Is that wrong to do? It's okay. I'm not saying everybody that does it's wrong, but you got to balance it too, you know? And I had a hard time because I have a personality, it's all in or nothing, right?
Mm.
Which is not good because sometimes you're all in too much one and you're not here and now you're not balancing. And so balancing in my life has been a struggle. And so that's why I've been trying to teach young men, man, you've got to learn to balance this, right, with your job, and you got to shut it off, and then you got to come home, and then you got to be a husband, and then you got to be a father, right? And as the older you get and the more you start getting into that, and Dylan's about to see that,
Yeah.
you know, it is a eye-opening experience. And you talk about the pressure because once you have a child and you start realizing, dude, I'm the one that's got to take care of this as the man of the household.
Mm.
I'm supposed to lead my wife. I'm supposed to provide for my wife and kids. I have to protect. I have to do all these things. It's all on me as the man, right? And so, not seeking anybody else in my life and saying, man, how do you do this? Was very big struggle
Yeah.
with me. And that's why talking about it now and helping you guys go find people. You can talk to me. I'd love to talk to you anytime, but for some reason it's always seems like, man, if you go talk to somebody else, you hear it differently
Yeah.
than you do from your father.
I think that's also just like our sin nature that's like, I don't want to listen to my dad.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean?
That's right.
Because not necessarily you don't have, because you could say the same thing to somebody else and they're like, oh, that's revolutionary.
Yeah.
And, or somebody else say the same thing that you said. And I'm like, dude, why didn't you tell me that? And you're banging your head. You're like, I've been saying that for years.
Exactly.
But
And that's happened.
yeah, multiple times. But I like what you said, though. It's like, it doesn't matter who it is. Just find somebody.
Yeah. You're never alone. There's always somebody.
Yeah.
You know, and if you seek people out, they will help you.
Yeah. Well, let's clarify. Yes, we should seek out counsel from other Christian men.
Absolutely.
But first, if you really want to know the definition of a man, and obviously we're scratching the surface,
Yep.
and we're starting where it really counts, is to start in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at Jesus' life and you say, what about Jesus' life is different from everybody's else? And why is he considered a man? Start there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because I think that's the thing that we tend to lack, is we go out and seek everybody else's opinions and
Mm-hmm.
all these podcasts and all these sermons before we ever open this up.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow we always get back to this, and it's like, okay,
You know why?
because
It's the cornerstone.
yeah, it's the truth, it's the
It's the
foundation.
stone.
And that's the thing, is the foundation of a man is defined by God. And we can see it through Jesus' life. And then we get these practical steps of being a man through Titus chapter 1
Mm-hmm.
or 1 Corinthians 16:13 through 14, 1 Timothy 5 through 8, Mark 10, 45, Proverbs 25:28, Joshua 1:9. I'm not going to read all those, but I mean, that's talking about strength, provision, Jesus' life, self-control, courage, so many more, all in here. And this is truly, the answer is, if you want to know what a man is, it's defined in here. That's our foundation. Is the definition of a man is defined by God, and we have the answers here. Moving forward, because we're kind of getting close to the end of this episode.
Oh, already?
Yes.
Whoa.
Moving forward, we're going to do a part 2 and dive into this specifically.
Okay.
I don't know when that is, because next week, who knows what next week's, there might be a guest on here.
That'd be awesome.
But real quick, this is something I wrote down, broad summary. Define what a man is not. A man is not defined, again, by his money, muscles, status, or success. A man is defined by Christ, by his willingness to follow Christ, take on the responsibility, lead with humility, live with integrity, and faithfully serve God and those he has entrusted to him.
Amen. Yeah, that's good. You know, I mean, I was telling you about the conference, Act Like Men. I mean, you just said 1 Corinthians 16:13 through 14. It says, be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong. Let all that you do be done in love. And you see, some men think that it's tough and strong by coming in and dominating your wife. Well, that is not it at all, right? Because so many men think that a wife's supposed to submit to me when I walk in the door. Well, no, you should treat your wife as Christ treated the church. Love your wife. Help her as she helps you, right? There's so many men out there that are looking at things twisted that need some help. And that's why we do this.
Yeah.
Because hopefully we get some people that will be here on this podcast that has some stories that we can hear.
Seek wise counsel.
You know, so we can share their stories to where, like you said, I don't want to make those mistakes.
No.
You know? And what I'm looking forward to is to those people that are coming on so I can benefit, and that's selfish. But I also want it to be for them to
Well, I think that's
to benefit from it too.
no,
But
that's good. And I think again, you talked about that feels like a selfish move.
right.
But really we talked about a chain effect as well. If your life is not standing firm in the faith. That affects your wife, your kids, your friends, your your family, and those around you. So where it starts is learning, seeking wise counsel, diving and standing firm in Jesus, letting your cup be filled and letting that overflow into your wife, your family, your
Mm-hmm.
friends, your community. So how we do that is first dive into this on our own and then seek wise counsel, continuing to learn from each other so we don't make the same mistakes in
Right.
our life, and allowing others to pour perspectives that we didn't see in scripture or we might not understand because
Mm-hmm.
they've experienced it, or maybe the Lord revealed something to them that we haven't been revealed. And that's the whole point. And the huge lacking thing of community too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a huge hope and prayer of this
Mm-hmm.
is people that are lacking that community and it might not be there yet can at least have something to revert to seek that wise counsel through
Mm-hmm.
others and hear other people's perspectives that God has revealed to them so we can pour into each other.
Mm-hmm.
But we're at an hour
Oh my goodness.
and 1 minute.
That is
Um,
crazy. Time flies when you're having fun.
so I think, I mean, we said it, but real quick, I want to say it again. If there's one thing we'd want you to take away from this conversation, what would that be?
God's the foundation. Absolutely. The
So,
cornerstone.
so let me ask the topic question. This is part 1, by the way. What does it actually mean to be a man today?
You got it. You got to. You're creating God's image. It's on all in Him, all in here. This is where you find it.
So to be a man today is to be a man of God.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You know, we talked about this in our group yesterday.
Did you?
Hold on. The hardest questions and the most challenging things we face are usually always the same answer: Jesus Christ. It's such a simple, but so complex. And that helps with this question: what does it mean to be a man? To be like Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a very simple, surface level, surface deep rooted level answer, but that is the answer. And in further episodes or further parts of this, we can dive into the practical, what that practically looks like, and the verses that support it. Again, Titus 1. There's so much more scripture that tells us how to be courageous, how to have self control. Again, all the answers of Jesus, but have
Mm-hmm.
specific verses. But again, the one thing I would want you to take away, if you're listening, is that a man today is not defined by society, but is defined by God, and that is being a man of God.
And one thing I want to say too is that you're never alone.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you were on a deserted island, you're never alone. Because this is the Word of God.
Yeah.
It is real. And He is present. And so I just, man, and getting away from Him, like you said, once we started this podcast, it started opening, making us more aware. Well, once you start getting into the scripture, it starts making you aware of everything around you
Yeah.
differently,
Mhm.
So I want people to know that they're never alone and that, you always have Christ and seek wise counsel with other Christian brothers.
Yeah. Well, thank you for listening to Stone and Timber.
Absolutely.
If this episode encouraged you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And we'll see you next week.
That's right.